Welcome to a new edition of What's New in the Library. So this is your video for March. I finally got new books in. I'm still having a lot of trouble with supply chain issues. I'm sure you've heard that phrase. I'm sure your parents have probably said that. It seems like I order something and it takes months and months and months for it to come in. So hopefully books will be starting to come in more often now that I've ordered them. So if you've requested a book for me to purchase, have no fear, it's on its way. I don't know when it'll get here, but hopefully eventually before the last day of school. So I do have some new books to tell you about this month, but the first thing I want to talk about is 7th graders. This is a very exciting time of year. This is when I start thinking about who I want to be my helpers in the library next year. So a couple of you had questions about that, so I thought I'll just record and tell everybody about it, because 5th and 6th graders, they might be thinking about it for whenever they're in 7th grade. They could help in 8th grade. So here's just a little bit of information on it. So library helpers are picked according to your application. So if you want to be a library helper, in the hallway outside the library, right by the big calendar that has the national holidays, there is a pocket, like clear pocket folders, and there's a yellow piece of paper in there that looks like this. That is a library helper application. So what you have to do is you have to apply. I will not just pick people. You must apply if you want to be a library helper. Now, if you apply, that doesn't mean you just automatically get it. Okay, I read through every single one of these applications. I take the application process very, very seriously. So you need to try your best. If you've already turned one in and you didn't try very hard, you better come back and get it, because this is exactly what I base my employment on, if you're in the library or not. So you have to get an application, fill it out, fill out the front part, and then if you make it through the next step of the process, then I will have your teachers fill out the back part. So it's based on things like, do you turn in all your assignments? Do you have good grades? Do you have good attendance? Are you well behaved in class? That's a biggie. My teachers would describe me as a good role model. Are you a good role model? I like to help other students. I'm a hard worker, things like that. That's what I'm looking for in library helpers. And like I said, just because you apply does not mean you will get it. So I make a stack of the yeses and the nos. The yeses, I look through them and I talk to Miss Ori about those yes names, because she's the one that does all the scheduling. So even if you're a great candidate and I think you should be a library helper, it doesn't automatically mean that you'll get it. Depending on your schedule in 8th grade, that's if you actually can make it in here or not. Because this year I have 16 total helpers. There's 8 hours of the day and I have 2 helpers every hour. So I usually take about the top 20 names to Miss Ori, and Miss Ori is the one that kind of makes those final calls, and because of scheduling wise. So get those applications if you're interested. Again, this is 7th grade only. They are due by April 13th, right before we leave for Easter break. And Miss Ori will be able to let you know, like next year, like during registration, if you actually made it in as a library helper or not. And you'll get to spend an hour with me in the afternoons or in the mornings. A couple of people have asked me, do I get to miss math or science? No, you still have to go to all those core classes. So math, science, ELA, social studies. You still have to go to those, but you miss out. You don't have to do, is it enrichment, girls? Enrichment and electives. You might miss out on an enrichment or an elective. Instead of being in one of those, you would be here in the library with me. But anyway, Miss Ori is the one that decides all the final, what hours everyone's going to be and who's going to be with who if you have a partner. So anyway, I hope that answers some questions when it comes to that. And 7th graders, I'm excited to start reading through those applications. And 5th and 6th graders, start thinking about what you might want to do. Maybe you want to be a helper when you're in 8th grade. It's a pretty cool job. You get to hang out with me, and I enjoy hanging out with my helpers too and helping students, and they like to recommend books to kids, and it's a pretty good time. So anyway, that's all I have to tell you this month. I got a bunch of new books in, so enjoy. Here we go. Lots of great new books this month. The first in romance is Kisses and Croissants, and in comedy, finally, I got 4 copies of the newest Diary of a Wimpy Kid. A bunch of people were asking me about that one. In mystery and suspense, we have a new one called The Girl Who Wasn't There. And also R.L. Stine. This is called Fear Street, but it's actually 3 books in one. So it's really thick, but it's 3 different stories in one. In realistic fiction, we have a book called Ben B. This book is told in a lot of text messages and like video game chats. And this new one is called Hello from Here. In action and adventure, we got the newest book by Alan Gratz called Ground Zero, all about 9/11, and the newest book in the I Survived series. Science fiction, we got the second book by Marissa Meyer called Arch Enemies. And everybody's favorite genre, graphic novels. We got more copies of Sisters and more copies of Guts because I can't keep those on the shelf. A new one called Allergic. Big Nate Stays Classy, the newest one in that series. New copies of the Bone books. And new copies of the Amulet books. A new one called Jukebox. Chunky. Barb, the Last Berserker. This is book 1. And Donner Dinner Party. This is part of the Nathan Hale's Hazardous Tales series. This is about a group of pioneers that were settling in the West and they got lost on the trail and they ended up in a snowstorm, and in order to survive, they had to eat each other. They became cannibals. So definitely check this one out for a little bit of true history. Another new series called Cat Wad. This is book number 1 and book number 2. More books in the Percy Jackson series. Manu. And the final genre is nonfiction. The first is all about gems and crystals. A lot of people have requested books about these, so this is the second or third one I've added to the library. And then the next couple books are recommendations from Mrs. McMillan, the 7th grade ELA teacher. She has been reading quite a bit and has told me all about some nonfiction books I need to read. The first one is called Wheels of Change, all about the history of bicycles. And Spooked, it's about a news broadcast that kind of freaked the world out. They thought the world was being invaded by aliens. So if you want more information about those two books, Miss McMillan is your gal to go see. And the last new book this month is called For Unicorn Lovers Only: History, Mythology, Facts, and More.